Hello and welcome to a sunny Oulton Park. I'm on home ground. I'm Paul O'Neill. Anthony Jordan is with me. Good to see you, Captain.
Yeah, good to see you too.
TCR UK time. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. Qualifying, best part of the weekend, I think. The fastest the cars are going to go. And I think, yeah, sun's out shining. What's going to happen?
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen, Dr. Pepper?
Exactly.
Well, it's an interesting one here, isn't it? Because difficult on brakes, hard on tyres, hard on the driver. Put all that into a one-day event. How's that going to work out?
I think fatigue is the main word. Endurance as well. You know, drivers are going to have to stay hydrated. It's really hot out here. It's super hot in the cars as well. They've got so much noise and everything. It's going to be an absolute challenge for them. We've already broken a driver, I think, as well. One of them with a bit of a back troubles as he's been going through Cascades. So already feeling that one, Luke Sargent, in the Elantra. So, he's struggling a little bit. So, I think a lot's going to happen, though, still. Who knows?
See what happens. Should we take a little wander down the pit?
I think we should, yeah. Let's take a wander.
Which way are you going to go? Right, I will guide you, because I don't want you to run into anyone.
Fall over,
yeah, you're fine. Just keep walking.
Yeah,
backwards.
you're fine.
We can go slower if you like.
We can.
But yeah, good to see everybody here. We can have a quick look, can't we, at Bruce Winfield and Luke Sargent's car. Brucey's getting involved there. Bruce is on the right-hand side. That car was on the top of the barriers on a general test that I was here at not so long ago. I think they had a failure with the car into the first corner, Old Hall, but he was out in the afternoon, but it was a big accident, and it wasn't Bruce that was driving, it was another person driving the car, just doing some data.
Oh, okay. We won't name and shame then.
No, we won't do that, because we're not like that. Good to see the Elantra here, though, isn't it, with Luke Sargent? You said about his back. People don't realise how much lateral grip these cars have, and that can really pop your back out, can't it?
It really can.
Before going into qualifying is the last thing that you ever want, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, and it just shows how hard he's pushing it as well. He really wants to make sure that it's his first time out in the Elantra. It's his first time really pushing it in a race series. He was here a couple of weeks ago with testing. I think he spun the car in testing as well through the same corner that he's having his back problems at. But again, I think we've not seen the end of what Luke can do here. I think he's really going to push through the pain, and I think he's going to have a good weekend. Yeah,
just needs to finish the races, and I'm sure he'll be fine. I know you've made some notes, and the next person we was going to talk about was Adam Shepherd, who's just in the next garage there. And we'll keep walking back as we get people out of the way. Thanks, lads. But yeah, they're about to go out, actually. So what we'll do is we'll stand in the middle here.
Yeah.
Because they're fired up and ready to go. But yeah, Alex Lake, always a fast driver. Brad Hutchison there, just trying to get through. How you doing, mate? You okay? Come and have a chat. Why is everyone in the car and you're not?
Well, I probably should be. I just went for a quick wee. But I seen you guys down here. Just thought I'd get bonded on the cameras. Do my bit for the team. Yeah, it's a nice day for it, isn't it?
Ever the professional. Are you getting on with that car around here, your Audi? Gen 1, a lot of Gen 3 Audis, Gen 2 Audis here, so faster cars.
Yeah, it's like bringing a tractor to a drag race, but it's all right. But I mean, we like fighting, don't we? So that's what we're here for. Yeah, it should be good. We'll see what we can do.
Have a good one, mate. Top work. Have a good one. Interesting stuff, isn't it? A lot of Gen 2 cars now powering the championship, really, and Gen 1s, you have to hang on to them, and we've got the Golf here as well with Jonathan Beeson.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a couple of Gen 1s here this weekend, so it'll be good to see what they can do. It'll be interesting. Looking forward to it. I was speaking to Brad earlier on as well. They've had a few changes of the setup between overnight as well, but him and the team, they feel confident as well. So I did ask him about the plaguing issues that they had with pace overall, because you saw how quick he was, and then how he just fell back in the field at Snetterton. The same happened at Croft as well. So hopefully, I think they've got round to that one. I think they said they're 97% there with the car, but they're feeling confident going into this weekend as well.
I know you had some notes on Adam Shepherd. We were going to talk about Adam. Adam, I think, for me, I had him down for really battling for this championship.
Yeah.
And I think he still will. He's so fast. Only problem is, it just doesn't seem to be fast enough, the car.
Yeah, no, the car is on it, but I think they went out in free practice this morning, and it was actually saying to me this morning that the car had so much traction, it felt really good in the corners, but it had no bottom end. The torque wasn't there. They think they had an engine issue. They were looking to see what they could do with the car. I don't know if they have managed to sort anything now, but yeah, they were definitely getting plagued with issues in free practice this morning.
Interesting. Right, well, Croft was a bit of a ding-dong encounter. I liked Croft. When I watched it back, it was awesome. Andy McEwen is here to guide you through the highlights of Croft.
The two races at Croft threw up a number of firsts, beginning with a first TCR UK pole position for Jack Constable. Converting that into the race lead at the start proved tricky though, as Carl Boardley used all his years of short oval experience to tough it out round the outside and beat the Audi into turn 1. Constable fought valiantly to get back through, even taking to the grass at one point, but Boardley would not be moved. As usual, the battles raged up and down the order, with Brad Hutchison getting one over on the newer Audi of Oliver Cottam, before Bradley Kent relieved an on-form Callum Newsham of 4th place at the hairpin. That quickly became 3rd place though, as reigning champ Chris Smiley ran into mechanical issues in his Honda, notching up his 2nd non-finish in 3 races. Not a great start to the season, as title defences go. Dan Kirby was making good progress through the field, roughing up Oliver Cottam on his way to an 11th place finish. It was the similar Cooper though of Carl Boardley who led the field to the checkered flag to seemingly take his first TCR UK win. A track limits penalty though meant that it was actually Jack Constable who claimed victory, a first in TCR UK for Audi. For the second race, it was Alex Lee who started from pole after a disappointing run in race 1. He couldn't hold off the fast-starting Hutchison though, who moved his Audi to the front immediately. It was a largely clean start, no mean feat considering it was a reversed grid and a very tight first set of corners at Croft. There will be plenty of drama to come later on. That drama started with a mistake for Hutchison, who slid wide at the chicane on cold tyres, handing the lead back to Alex Lee. Another of the youngsters, Jensen Brickley, also went through, before Adam Shepherd, who didn't even think he'd be racing a couple of days before the event, also slipped past into 3rd. Things then went from bad to worse for Hutchison, having initially slotted back into 4th ahead of early points leader Bruce Winfield. The pair then made contact at the end of the back straight, sending Brad tumbling further down the order. As the race wore on and the lead pack refused to separate themselves, bits of TCR car littered the track in what soon became a particularly bruising race. Alex Lee and Bradley Kent, the next two in trouble after contact from race 1 winner Constable. A fired-up Carl Boardley was on the hunt, but his charge through the top 10 was eventually halted by the battle-scarred Hyundai of Winfield. It was to be another debut win though, this time for Jensen Brickley, who in only his 4th start in TCR UK added his name to the winners list and marked himself out as a genuine championship threat. Adam Shepherd was 2nd, while Joe Marshall completed a good day for Rob Boston Racing by claiming his first TCR podium. Another entertaining day of racing and perhaps a few scores to be settled heading to Oulton Park.
Do you wonder why your competitors' websites appear in Google searches ahead of you? Then make a call to the SEO experts Woya and understand how your business can be more visible online. As the official marketing partner of TCR UK, you can now work with a trusted search engine optimization partner to increase web traffic, inquiries and sales. Speak to us for your free audit and quote by visiting woya.co.uk today.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
Well, welcome back to Oulton Park, everybody. Catching up now with one of our most recent race winners in the championship, Jack Constable. Your first victory of the season coming at Croft last time out. Off the back of, I was amazed to hear, your first TCR UK pole as well. This really does feel like it could be your season.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to line itself up for us, especially with the car. Rob's done a lot of development with it, so yeah, I feel like we're coming into our own a little bit with the car.
which was always kind of supposed to be the plan, wasn't it? You're not new to TCR. You've won more races than most, actually, in the championship now, but always at the wheel of an older generation car. What's the biggest difference that you've noticed moving not only into a next-gen car, but one of the Audis as well?
I mean, there's just a lot more that we can do with the setup on these cars. And I mean, Rob as well has done a great job in getting his head around it. So completely different engineering side from where I was with PMR with the older Gen Cupra. But yeah, it's a completely different kettle of fish almost. Like, they've just stepped so much further forward with these cars.
And one of the things I'm loving about the Audis this year as well is that we're learning about them as you are, as the viewers at home are, because no one really knew what to expect from the car, which tracks it would go well at, which tracks it might struggle at. A lot of people, though, saying that Oulton Park should favour the Audi. Are you finding that to be the case so far?
I think it would favour us if we didn't have the compensation weight that we've got carrying. Well, we're carrying for this weekend anyway. But the car seems to be going well. I'm really happy with it. I mean, again, we've still got learning to do, but yeah, exactly as what you said, everybody's learning as we are as we go forward.
Thoughts then for this weekend and on into the rest of the season? I know you're targeting the championship, that's never going to change, but as I said, I really do think this year you've got half a chance. Do you change your mindset at all now that you've got a win in the bag, you're up there in the points, or are you still kind of playing it race by race?
Race by race. I'm not one to sit there and just go, I'll take the points. No. It's not how I am. I tend to drive in a rhythm, and if I get into a rhythm, and I won't stop. So hopefully carrying that forward from Croft and seeing where we can get this car hopefully a bit further up in the points, because really Croft was our first round. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how we go.
And as a team, things are going really well too. Obviously, Joe Marshall on the podium in the second race at Croft. Rob Boston Racing is a team that we're very familiar with here in UK motorsport. It's nice to see Rob, though, getting this opportunity now at this level to really show what he and the team can do. Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I think myself and Joe are quite a good pairing. We work well together. And Rob being our engineer makes a hell of a difference as well. So yeah, I think we've pieced together quite a good package for this year. What do you think is the biggest challenge for Rob this weekend then, setup-wise, car-wise, looking after the tyres? Is it a handling imbalance you've got to try and figure out? More the temperature. Right. I think that we're going to cook the tyres with the heat more than anything. The car's quite heavy on front tyres anyway. And especially when it's going to be as hot as it is, then yeah, I would imagine that we'll start to eat into the fronts a little bit and struggle towards the end of the races, but we'll see, especially with the weight as well. And that's going to make qualifying a challenge for you as well, I'd imagine, and we all know how important qualifying is, especially here at Oulton Park. Not the easiest of places to overtake. Realistically, what are you hoping for going into that first race tomorrow? It's a hard one. I mean, just a nice clean qualifying would be great, and then just to get some points away in the first race and then see where we can go from there. Sounds like a plan. Jack Constable, very best of luck then for qualifying and the two races here at Oulton Park. Let's head back to Paul and Anthony in the pit lane.
Thanks, Andy. Yes, we are kind of in the pit lane, but like in a pit garage as well. Anthony, you're going to have a little chat, aren't you, with Jensen Brickley, who won one of those races at Croft, mate?
Did he? Oh, who'd have thunk it? But yes, he did. He did indeed. Jensen Brickley, who is currently seated in the car, ready, suited and booted to go out in qualifying. Jensen, quick word, obviously qualifying coming up. We wanted to say congratulations, obviously, victory in Croft. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it means a lot. It was a really good race at Croft, and obviously it was a reverse grid, but we still had to work for it. So yeah, we're really happy with the result, and obviously we're hoping we can do something similar today.
Yeah. Qualifying coming up. Any plans? What's the strat? Obviously coming as first. I think it's the main one, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that is always the strategy, but yeah, I'll be happy with top 5. Hopefully we're in the top 5. If not, we do the same as what we did at Croft.
Yeah, it's a tough old championship. 22 cars, I believe, we got out on track this weekend. So, do you think it's going to be an interesting one here at Oulton? Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be close. Even looking at the free practice times, I think some of them are out on new, so obviously you can't really go off that much. But yeah, I think it'll be close at the front. Brilliant. Well, we'll see you out there in qualifying. Best of luck on this one, mate. And Paulo, you're going to speak to Carlo.
Yes, I'm with another gentleman that had an interesting time at Croft, and Carl Boardley, who is right up there actually in the standings. And Carl, I told you these cars were good, didn't I?
You did, mate. Yeah, I took your word for it, and here we are.
Not just here we are, mate. You got a chance of pushing on for this title.
Yeah, starting to get to grips with it now and getting the feel of the car. tried a load of different things yesterday, just mainly running through different brake pad compounds just to see what I like. So we're just dialing it in a little bit more and just getting more and more comfortable all the time.
Disappointed at Croft or happy to come away with good points?
Mixed emotions, really. Obviously disappointed to, have the win taken away, because it's one of those. It's a bit of a hot topic at the minute, isn't it? But it is what it is. So you just got to take it on the chin, move on. But obviously the flip side of that was just really happy to be up there and, showing some sort of good pace, basically. So. And
that's all you can hope for in it, fella. I'm going to leave you to it. I know you've got to get yourself into quali mode, but it's good to see you up there, mate. One of the good guys is back in town. Top man, Carl Boardley. I'll shut his door. I'll probably do something wrong. But, let's make our way outside and get into that 20,000 degree heat. Just watch your back. You're okay. You do not want to mess with this man. Nick is a nasty man. What? I will do you, mate. Look at him. Hey, I'd defo have him. Cheers, boss. You too. Right, let's have a chat then. We were talking about engine changes, weren't we?
We were.
Oliver Cotton?
Yeah, Cotton's had, he had a real drama yesterday, obviously, in the practice sessions that they had. And, he had to take the engine out, old engine. I think it just dumped all of its oil. It just overheated, and they thought, you know what, let's just swap it out. Best thing to do. So they spent all night changing it. They've changed the brakes on it as well, I believe, and it's all very new. I think he's meant to say at the moment, he's just thinking, it's all brand new. I don't want to push it too hard. The team's worked so hard on it. He just wants to be gentle. Qualifying-wise, he doesn't have to do anything, really. He's got to go out. He's got to bed his tyres in. He's starting at the back with the engine penalty, of course, that comes with a new engine. So, he's just going to have to do what he's got to do from the back of the grid, really.
Yeah, big send, I suppose. We walked past the Rob Boston Racing Garage with the two Audis in there. They're looking strong, man.
They're looking strong.
Fair play.
Both of them fastest in free practice. I don't know if it was full send from them. It might have been. I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out in qualifying, though, won't we? But both Jack and Joe looking very quick out there. It'll be crucial to see what they can do, really, because the Gen 2 certainly in this latter half of the season have certainly perked up a little bit, haven't they, from the start?
Definitely. And the FL5 of Chris Smiley as well. Brilliantly run team. Restart Racing doing a cracking job. Car looks amazing. When they get on top of that car is going to fly. It will fly.
It will fly indeed. Yeah, the team's worked really hard on it. I spoke to them this morning. Very political answers I got from them saying, yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, no issues, no dramas or anything. We're ready to go racing. They seem pretty happy. The outright pace that they had, I think they were third fastest in free practice. But again, we don't know free practice. You don't know who's really pushing it, who isn't. So again, qualifying will tell. But both Smiley and Sumpton both looking pretty strong.
Looking good. If we just have a look at Chris, actually, he's having a little wave and a little smile. He's got double thumbs up. So he's ready to rock and roll with the number one on his car. And I'm sure we're going to see that car right up there. And the other great thing about Chris is he's got so much experience in front-wheel drive that his experience will get him up the front if the car and the setup are just lacking a little touch. So
exactly.
Good stuff from Bert and the team. Right, we move on. There's Gary Townsend there. He's having a nice time. He's giving us a wave as well. A double-handed wave from Gary. Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't do that while he's out on track, though. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know, do you?
No, you never know.
Callum Newsham, Callum looking quick in the last few races I've watched of him. If he's anything like his dad, when it clicks, he is going to be rapid.
Yeah. Again, he's seemed pretty confident going into this weekend. Yesterday was all right. Today was good. Free practice this morning. I think they're changing a couple of things before qualifying, so hopefully that's all gone well. But him and the team saying that everything is primed, ready to go. No dramas again for them. Let's just see what they can do.
Yeah, and you were just looking through the lens, and the old gentleman next to him with the red top on, if we just go back, that's actually Callum Newsham's granddad on the right. Dave Newsham, I'm joking, it's his dad. Lovely guy. Beat him a few times. He was probably one of the hardest competitors I've ever driven against, but I smashed him out the way at Snetterton and I robbed a podium off him, and that's just the way it goes. So, good luck, team. Are you happy with that?
There we go. That'll be interesting.
He's going to kill me for that, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I think you're in many people's books here, Paul. I think you're in many people's books.
That's the way to be. We speak to Brad.
Yeah.
Brad looking quick. It's good to see them get two cars here as well, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it is nice to see. I do actually want to have a chat with Mr. Gales because he's swapped cars in this one. He's not in the Audi anymore. He's in a Seat. Yeah, look at that. So it'd be actually crucial to have a quick chat with him, actually. I'll dive in there.
You go dive in.
You spoke to Brad earlier. It's right to have a quick chat with Steve. Yeah, so I know, Steve, you're being kept cool there. You got the fans in there. We spoke earlier. new car, Oulton Park, how was it feeling?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'd be good to see what the new car can do when I really put the hammer down. So, yeah, let's go out there and do what I can.
Yeah, so of course, interesting circuit, Oulton Park. It's a tough track, but you're getting to grips with the car and it's all gone well. What are your predictions then? What do you think you can do in qualifying?
I'll be happy if I can get under 130, to be honest. So I guess that'll put me sort of, kind of mid to back of the table. But that'll be good. It's a new car to me, and I think there's, there's more races to come that I can start to improve.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we'll see you out there. Cheers, Steve. Enjoy your session. Paul, like you say, chatting to Steve there, it's a new car, lots to do with it, get it ready, but he seems confident.
Yeah, the thing is with new cars, I know from racing front-wheel drive tin top myself, you can jump into a new car and it will be faster on paper, but it takes so long to get used to it. Probably, round Oulton Park is the worst place you can come in a new car because it's so narrow, the cars are nervous, you can't really push. It's not like Silverstone where you can just go flat out and hope for the best. It's a difficult thing to do, but I'm sure this will be a great choice and a fantastic car, and he will give it the big one. It's nice to see his visors down as well.
Yeah, he's focused. He's focused. He is.
Good
He had
lad.
do you know he had his mechanic with a fan there, everything. Oh,
did he?
Keep cool, Steve. Keep cool. There we go.
Talking about cool, look at this car. Darren Lewis's car, looking so bright. It always is looking bright, but I've never had a close look at it, and it does look absolutely stunning. It's nice and clean, hasn't got a dent on it. And just to let the viewers know at home, there is a bit of a delay with the last qualifying session that was on. We've got a bit of a clean-up operation, so you might just have to deal with me and AJ for a bit longer. But great car, Gen 1. Fair play to him. He's cracking on, though.
Yeah, he is. It looks clean, it looks sharp, and you know what they say about a clean car with no damage on it? It's not going fast enough, is it?
Oh. Do you want to tell him?
No, you can tell him that. You can tell him that. No, but he's certainly looking quick, isn't it? Spoke to the guys earlier on. They're saying everything's pretty comfortable. They're pretty happy with the setup. It's just see what they can do in qualifying, really, see what he can do. Yeah. He's feeling a lot more confident going into this weekend as well. Is old Darren. So
Good to see him out there.
Yeah, it is.
Let's move along. See Darrell Wilson quite a lot, don't we? I know he had a bit of a turbulent Croft when I was watching the coverage.
Yeah.
But Matt Wilson, newly married. Matt.
Yes, indeed.
Newly married.
Hello.
Put a ring on it, didn't you? Put a ring on it, mate. That's him. Probably cut his old wages and earnings in half now. He's absolutely stuffed. Actually, his missus is lovely, and she's probably got more money than him.
Yeah. There we go. That's fine then. Do we want to speak to Darren then? Do you want to speak to him?
Not really.
I'll do it then.
No, I don't know. No, it's not that. It's just we've got issues. We don't speak anymore. Yeah.
You don't speak?
No.
No.
Don't speak to any of them.
You don't speak to any of them? I can speak to them then.
We'll leave you to it.
Oh, go on then. I'll jump on in. So, it's right to have a quick chat with you. Come on. I know qualifying's underway. I'm going to just clip this down. We haven't got long, mate. Mate, new track, the car itself, the start of the season's not gone the way you've wanted. Do you reckon you can bring it back in the second half?
Yeah, well, the second half are all my best tracks, like Silverstone, Donington and Brand. So after these next two rounds, hopefully we're on a high. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it today. This is not my best track. Don't really like it here, but, we look forward and try to get a good finish.
Yeah. Car's looking sharp still, and like you say, it's a brilliant weekend. The weather is hot, mate. How are you feeling, though, with this?
I'm hot anyway, so, it'll make me double hot, don't it?
Stay hydrated, mate. Best of luck out in qualifying.
No problem, thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass back over to you, Paul, while I try and fix this.
Very nice. Yeah, you crack on with that. Just to let you know, there's now a bit of a time been thrown at us. I think it's got to be 10 minutes, 10-minute delay. Can you tell us any more about the delay and what is happening?
Barrier damage again. Fiestas.
What about?
Don't know.
Okay, barrier damage, so posts may have to be replaced.
At least the tractor's just gone out to fix it, so we'll see what happens.
Good job I'm not being paid by the minute, isn't it?
You are you not?
Oh, yeah, you're my manager. You should know. Listen, keep doing a good job. Thank you for everything you guys do.
My colleague over here.
Can we come and chat to you for a couple of seconds? Yeah, difficult, isn't it, to get all these championships into one day? How difficult is it proving today? Because we have got a bit of damage, haven't we?
It's hot, yeah, we've had a few early ends to sessions, and it's basically putting everything back. But that means the marshals are probably going to lose their lunch break.
Yeah, exactly. You heard that. What you forget is people like these two don't really do it for the money, probably don't get paid, or you don't get as paid as much as AJ anyway, but it's a difficult one, and your lunch break gets eaten into, so to speak. That's a great pun. I will leave you to it. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. This garage is my favourite, and the reason this garage is my favourite, I'll just quickly tell you, is that, one, because Matt's in there, but two, they think they're the funniest people in the world because you can't really hear it. I'll put the microphone in the garage, but they put my sister's song on, but they tried to do it before and they couldn't do it. So yeah. They put the wrong tune on. Didn't
we? Won't do that one. We won't do that one.
They can hear that.
They can
anyway,
hear.
We're going to go to an advert break, which is probably the best thing to do in a challenging situation like this.
Let it go.
Do you wonder why your competitors' websites appear in Google searches ahead of you? Then make a call to the SEO experts Woya and understand how your business can be more visible online. As the official marketing partner of TCR UK, you can now work with a trusted search engine optimization partner to increase web traffic, inquiries and sales. Speak to us for your free audit and quote by visiting woya.co.uk today.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
Well, good morning everyone. Welcome to Oulton Park. TCR UK qualifying about to get underway around the Oulton Park Island Circuit. We've got the absolute perfect conditions, a good crowd on hand, set to enjoy the next chapter of the TCR UK story in 2023. We've had 4 races so far this year, and they have certainly thrown up some interesting results. We've had 4 different race winners from those races. We've had about 7 or 8 different drivers on the podium already this season, and I think it's quite likely we'll see a few new names added to that list here this weekend. Andy McEwen here in the commentary box. Paul O'Neill will be joining me very shortly to talk you through the action in this 30-minute qualifying session. The drivers have got plenty of time to get some lap times in and try to get themselves as close to the front of the grid as possible, because this 2.6-mile Oulton Park Island circuit is notoriously difficult to overtake on. So the closer to the front that you can start, the closer to the front in theory you should be able to finish. It's a real driver's favourite circuit this. In these conditions though, it certainly presents an extra challenge. It's going to be difficult to look after the tyres over the course of the races later on today, which will be over 25 minutes in length. But for now, it's all about setting the fastest possible lap time in qualifying. The drivers have already been out on the track once today in free practice earlier on this morning, where Joe Marshall led a Rob Boston Racing 1-2. The 2 Generation 2 Audis were at the top of the time, separated by only 33 thousandths of a second. Joe Marshall and his teammate Jack Constable, who got a win at Croft a few weeks ago. And that was the first ever victory in TCR UK for an Audi. And, well, those cars really do seem to be in form at the moment. Chris Smiley was 3rd fastest, Alex Lee 4th fastest, Carl Boardley 5th, ahead of Adam Shepherd and Jensen Brickley. All 7 of those drivers were underneath last year's pole position time. So we're expecting some really, really quick lap times here today. Probably the quickest we'll have ever seen a TCR car around this particular layout at Oulton Park. The question is, who is going to bag themselves the pole, the best track position for the race, and with it, 6 championship points as well. It was Josh Files on a guest entry at Snetterton who took the pole position. Last time out, it was Jack Constable, who lost the lead actually into the first corner to Carl Bordley, who then lost the win due to a track limits infringement. But Jack Constable looking to try and repeat that qualifying performance from last time out. Of course, those who qualified well at Croft do have to carry some compensation weight into the races today at Oulton Park and indeed this qualifying session. So qualifying well, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, really. You score some nice championship points, you get yourself that track position, but you do then have to carry the ballast into the next round. That could give us a slightly different look to the front of the field. Drivers still getting some heat into the tyres, many of them diving for the pit lane after their first lap or so, just to cross over the tyres, put the fronts on the backs, the lefts on the right, and vice versa. And you can see that happening there with the older generation Audi. Brad Hutchison bombed it with MPHR squad. Brad led briefly at Croft in the reversed grid race before slipping off the track at the chicane and dropping down the order. But Brad Hutchison, who has sort of been solidly in and around the back end of the top 10 all season, looking to try and break forward a little bit here today. So too is that man there that just came through shot, car number 1, reigning champion Chris Smiley. Bit of a disastrous start to his season, really. 2 non-finishes from the first 4 races. He's kind of used up now his allocation of drop scores, if you like, so the pressure is well and truly on for the Irishman as he tries to retain his championship at the venue at which he took pole position at a lights to flag win at the start of last year. That was on the longer international layout though. So teams then hard at work in the pit lane. They do have half an hour to get lap times in. So there's no major rush here. The team's all quite happy to come in and spend the time to swap these tyres over. Perhaps make a couple of adjustments as well, although they've had plenty of track time. Drivers were pretty much all out yesterday testing all day long. They had that free practice session earlier on as well, which passed without incident as far as I'm aware. And so now they should be feeling well prepared for what lies ahead today. Well, Paul O'Neill has joined me in the commentary box now, and Paul, I'm really excited for this. There's something about touring car racing at Oulton Park that just, it really sort of gets me revved up and raring to go. It's a fantastic place to come racing. We've got a good grid of cars, and this qualifying session could be super, super competitive.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a cracking one to watch, and it's a 30-minute session, isn't it? We're already 5 minutes in, and like you say, it was as if this circuit was built for front-wheel drive tin tops and touring cars. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and there's going to be a few people I think that are going to be punching well above the weight, and one of them is this guy here in the Gen 1 Audi, Brad Hutchison. It really is a shift towards newer cars, isn't it now?
It is, and I think those that are still running the older generation car starting to realise that. So, although that being said, the Hyundai i30Ns still seem to be going reasonably well. And
only because you've got one.
Well, I am a fan of the i30N. I'm not going to lie. It's a brilliant car. Not yet taken mine round Oulton Park. I think that's something we might have to change in the near future. I don't think I'll be getting down into the 1 minute 26s though. That much I'm going to put out there.
I'll have a go.
Yes. If you buy off me first, Paul, you can do whatever you like with it.
I own you, mate.
Speaking of Hyundais, we've got the 3 different specs of Hyundai racing with us again this weekend, because the Elantra that was pedalled very rapidly by Josh Files nearly to a race win at the start of the season is back now in the hands of its new owner Luke Sargent, as there one of the Gen 2 Audis of Oliver Cotton makes his way through. Now Oliver will face a grid penalty, I believe, because of an engine change. So not an ideal start to his weekend.
No, not at all. Right on the back foot, and I think AJ may have just glanced on it pre-show just down in the pit lane, saying that he isn't looking at doing the whole of qualifying. Just wants to see if the car is okay and just do whatever time he's got to do. There's just no point in him, is the battering round and trying to destroy his tyres and lose his engine up. So yeah, we will see.
Adam Shepherd out of the pit lane. Now, you'll be shocked to hear that Adam's had a bit of a difficult weekend. He never seems to be far from a drama, Adam Shepherd. Hit the tyres down at Knickerbrook Corner, clipped the tyres on the inside of the corner that are there to deter drivers from corner cutting. Didn't really do their job. Well, they did, in that they ripped the right front corner off the car. I don't think he'll be doing that again in a hurry, but that meant he missed a chunk of yesterday's practice. But Adam seems to have this way, doesn't he, of pulling really good results out of weekends where we really don't expect much out of him, and I think we could see the same here today.
Yeah, definitely. One of the fastest drivers I've ever had the pleasure of commentating on. The way he wrings the neck of his i30 is pretty special, and yeah, he does seem to have a lot of bad luck, doesn't he? And Yeah, that wasn't bad luck yesterday. That's just a driver error, and I'm sure he's the first one to put his hands up. Let's talk about track limits just quickly. Hate it, but can't run off the back of the curb. You can't, no tyre patch, anything to do with the tyre or the wheel can run off the back of the red and white curbs around here. It can't go over the back of a white line. The white lines define the track. You can see the white lines in the middle of your shot. We go onto the curbs now. You can run the curbs, but you just cannot go over the back of them, all the white lines. So you can see on the exit, you can run all the way up to the end of the red and white that you're just seeing in your shot, but you cannot go on that green. They will, if they see that, they will delete lap times in qualifying, and then there's a different regulation for the race where it's 5-second penalty, 10-second penalty, 15-second penalty, black flag. It's just not the done thing, but how it's policed is something that we need to rely on. So that's the last I'll say of that on TCR commentary.
Yes, it's only being monitored in certain parts of the track, and the smart drivers will have paid attention in the driver's briefing this morning and will know perhaps where they can push the issue a little bit more. We're down into the 127s now. That's Brad Hutchison fastest. That's still a good second and a half away from the pole position time. I actually think there's a good chance we'll get down into the very low 26s because quite a number of drivers, quick drivers, did not do a new tyre run in practice earlier on. 26.35 was Joe Marshall's best effort within that practice session earlier on today. It's currently Chris Smiley who goes fastest, and he is the first driver into the 126s, Paul.
Yeah, so Rick Kerry there just getting past George Heeler in the Gen 2 Audi. George having a fantastic time with his teammate who's out in a Golf in the British Endurance Championship in the TCR class. Had a win here not so long ago. So yeah, look for George in that car that's in the middle of your shot now that we're following. And George is only lives about a mile and a half, 2 miles away. Really lovely man, and a great family as well. Met his family the other week when I was coaching him. So yeah, real top people, and they're expecting just to have a nice little time and try and push on and get some good results this weekend. So good to see them out in the cars.
Jensen Brickley we're following here, our most recent race winner in the championship. In only his 4th ever race at this level, Jensen Brickley managed to get onto the top step of the podium, this in the reverse grid race at Croft. But I think he's a bit of a dark horse this weekend, Paul, because he's not carrying any compensation weight. He didn't qualify terribly well at Croft, and that's where they take the compensation weight calculations from. So I think the Cupra should be one of the front runners, as really should this car, the Veloster of Bradley Kent. Due some good luck, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, and I'm just pointing to your screen. Alex Lay's just gone quickest. I know it's going to be green, green, green for everyone, but purple sector 1 for Alex, and then a green sector 2 and 3. So, yep, he's right in there. 10th and a half up on Jack Constable. And, yeah, I don't think that pole time will stand. I think that will be a good time, but it's, there you go, track limits, and there's some proper track limits there.
Gary Townsend, yeah, taking the agricultural line down the Lakeside Straight, and then not exactly jumping out of the way of Bradley Kent, who would likely have had this lap time deleted for exceeding track limits anyway, not that that's going to improve Bradley's mood. And Townsend, what are you pointing at now, Paul?
Grass on the
he's going to be into the pits then to get that cleared on a hot day like this, that's for sure. The lap times we're seeing from Lee and Constable, they are representative lap times. They are both quicker than Joe Marshall went in practice earlier on. So 126.224 is the first genuine sort of pole position attempt. Adam Shepherd now goes third with a 26.6. So now we're getting down to business. And so now when we start seeing purple and green sectors, they do start to mean a little bit more. Alex Lee, who was the pace setter on this layout of Oulton Park last year, comes down towards us now at Lodge Corner. And that is Rick Kerry off down at Cascade. So Rick Kerry, pedalling the older shaped Cupra, has had a rotation at the quick left-hander. Very, very easy to do. That's a difficult downhill approach, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a difficult downhill approach, bumpy, but also if you don't get into the apex quick enough, the camber of the road that is helping you actually starts to not help you, and you get flicked out and run wide. Running wide to the right is perfectly fine as long as you don't go along the grass too long and bump along, but yeah, anything to the left of your shot now, you will be in the tyres. And that again is track limits, so they're really pushing on. These front tyres are getting really warm, and I think the rears are getting that hot too, that they're pushing the front of the car even further forward. That's not good. Callum Newsham, very quick as well. I was just looking, he was right up there. He's 6th, and That is not great. That's really sad.
Yeah, the I-30 pulling off to the side of the road between Druids and Lodge this is now. That is a relatively dangerous area. There is a gap in the barriers if the marshals can get to him. You can see them making their way towards his stricken car already. But Callum Newsham's session appears to be done now. Bruce Winfield has gone second fastest and has gone purple in the first sector on his next lap. So Bruce Winfield could be about to steal the pole position away from his Area Motorsport teammate Alex Lee. Good to see Area Motorsport back on form. They all really struggled to find the right setup at Croft. All of them struggled in qualifying, but again, it means they're light coming into a circuit at which it's notoriously difficult to carry the weight.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, this place is the hardest on brakes, hardest on tyres, hardest place to carry
that's
weight.
Bruce.
Wow, what's he doing? It is Bruce Winfield, isn't it? So, purple in Sector 1, goes yellow into Druids, but it was still a decent sector. And hopefully he goes again. I hope he hasn't gone over the trees, because that's where our cameraman was kind of following the dust, I think.
No, he has got back on the track. That car, by the way, looks a bit different on the front because it had a shunt, I believe, in the hands of Josh Files in testing here a week or so ago at the first corner. Very first lap of the day, and something failed and off into the barriers went the car. So they have replaced the front end of that car, which is why it doesn't look quite as it normally did. Here he had a big lockup going into Druid's corner, skittered off through the gravel, and he, as you'd expect, has come into the pit lane to check the car over. In fact, the pit lane, a popular place to be right now, because we're nearly halfway through the session. We've got yellow flags on track. The perfect chance, Paul, to come in and stick some new tyres on.
Yeah, Marshall in the middle of your picture saying it needs a pull. So, yeah, that is the international sign for this car needs to be pulled out the way, so it might be a good time to do it if you can. It might just be maybe to just push it right out the way, but yeah. So there's a nice picture of a set of Brembo calipers on the back of Bradley Kent's car, isn't it? Yeah, popping those rear tyres back on, and yeah, I think so hot though, Andy. That's the problem, is getting your lap time done. I mean, we've got 16 minutes of the session left. It just needs a repressure on tyres and cool the rubber down that's actually sitting on the carcass. So let's see what happens. But good to see Sargent out in that Elantra. I'm really happy that he's got his signatures on his licence and cracked on.
Yeah, 13th fastest at the moment. Jensen Brickley there wriggling around trying to get some heat into the tyres on his Cupra. He is only 12th fastest, a bit further down than I expected. Good time to run down the top 10, I suppose. It's Alex Lee from Bruce Winfield, an all-area motorsport front row at the moment, ahead of Jack Constable third, and then another area Hyundai fourth. So this really does remind me of Snetterton, where the area cars just dominated the front of the grid. Adam Shepherd at the moment lining up fourth on the grid. Then Joe Marshall, so it's area motorsport versus Rob Boston Racing across the top five. Then Callum Newsham, who we know is going no further. Chris Smiley, the man on your screen, is 7th fastest ahead of Carl Boardley. Brad Hutchison in the top 10. And Bradley Kent perhaps a bit disappointed down in 10th position. So you've got Kent 10th, Brickley 12th. Who else is a little bit out of position, could you say? Well, Oliver Cottam only 21st at the moment as well. But then, as we know, he's going to be starting at the back regardless. So a couple of drivers for whom the pressure is on now as we tick into the second half of the session.
Chris Smiley, TCR UK champion with Restart Racing. That FL5 Honda was just talking at the top of the show about it not really being quite on the pace at the minute, but that is only going to get better. But Chris's experience at the minute is keeping him in the hunt. So for when the car gets right in its sweet spot, he'll be there. But I spoke to him this morning, and I told him that there is a chance of thunder showers, and that's the only thing that's going to save us. So he ain't expecting big things today, I don't think. And yeah, they're just getting that Adam Shepherd car back on track.
Yeah, Shepherd, who has only had the one podium so far. That did actually come at Croft, ironically, given that was a weekend where Area Motorsport really struggled. He was kind of the exception to that rule because he actually had some decent pace at Croft. Just missed out on the top six in qualifying, so didn't score any points, but he did then score pretty well across the two races. There is Adam, just chatting away to the team. Looks like they're leaving Newsham's car there, and the yellow flags have gone in, so they've obviously decided that's a safe enough place. During a race, maybe they would say differently, but in a qualifying session, hopefully, we shouldn't see any other errant cars heading that way at speed, and so the session can continue with Chris Smiley working his way over Deer Leap, across the timing line and onto a flying lap, although with a very slow Joe Marshall ahead of him. That immediately means that this lap will not be an improvement for Chris.
I'd say Smiley been in for a cross, because he looks like he's got new rears on the back of that. So I'd say he's probably going to come back in the pits in a minute to stick those rears on the front. So the rears on the back of that car, they've got Dunlop Goodyear stickers. very prominent, and that's usually a good sign. If the others are scrubbed off, the yellow stickers are actually scrubbed off, it usually means that they're going to do a cross and put the newer tyres, which are on the rear, on the front of the car. So you've got the older tyres on the rear to actually slip and actually make the front wheel drive cars a lot more dartier and better handling.
Which is exactly what you need, especially around a place like this. Need a good front end. Bradley Kent the same. You can see there those stickers on the rear tyres that Paul was just talking about. So this car will likely be back in the pit lane again in a minute or so. And that really, by the time they've done that and then got back up to speed again after that, you're looking at 7 or 8 minutes, aren't you? But then in these temperatures, Paul, you're not going to get more than 2 or 3 really quick laps out of the tyres anyway.
No, exactly. And to be honest, you know, it's so hot that you'll only need to do an out lap probably to get the heat in those front tyres, which are actually going to be rears. So that's what you're trying to do. You're just trying to get heat in those fronts that you're out on that are not very good, to stick them on the back, because you just need a bit of stability and go.
Jack Constable has just gone personal best in Sector 1. He has had a lap time disallowed, but that was his 8th lap time. He's on his 9th lap now, so I don't think it's this lap that's been affected. But Constable in the Audi going quickly. The second sector is reasonable as well. 32.9 is almost as quick as we've seen through there. So Jack Constable on a flyer, only needs to find a 10th of a second or so to improve onto the front of the grid, as we watch George Heeler dropping down through his lops into the right-hander at Knickerbrook, avoid the tyres that Adam Shepherd clattered into yesterday. In fact, it's Shepherd right behind the Audi of Heeler heading up Clay Hill, whilst that lap time for Jack Constable, by the way, didn't really come to anything. In the end, it was a 27.0, about 7 tenths or so off his previous best pace, but we'll see more personal best sectors coming in over the next few minutes, I suspect.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few people coming into the pits if they're not already in there, but I think George is just trying to gun himself up, get a nice late entry into Lodge. Looks like he might be dying for the pits, actually. Oh. Is he? No, it's a strange line. I haven't taught him that. That's weird. But yeah, these temperatures, I hate to go on about it, I just can't tell you how hard it is to have Nomex underwear on, fireproof suit, 2-3 layer, whatever you've got. It's horrendous. But what isn't horrendous is the sight of an I-30 being driven flat out by the 117 Adam Shepherd. That's track limits, and that is actually grass limits. There's no limits. No limits to him.
I'm covering No Limits on Sunday at Croft, actually. Some two-wheeled action for me this weekend too, but this a nice warm-up for that's for sure. Out of Cascades then went Shepherd, a bit too wide, and I suspect we'll see a nice orange message on our timing screen very shortly, telling him that this time isn't going to count. So George Heeler we can focus on again now as he clips the curbs through his lops, looking a little tentative at the moment, as if maybe he doesn't fully trust the front end of the car to stick. Makes his way out of Knickerbrook corner though, and in a way he needs to start looking in his mirrors, because Adam Shepherd is coming quickly. And sometimes if you're in George's situation, we know that he's a rapid driver, but Adam Shepherd, not a bad driver to sort of wave on through and try to follow around, because we know that Adam is going to be on the pace. Bruce Winfield across the line, out of the window I've just seen, by the way. He had been improving in the sectors, but not at the end of the lap.
Not a bad looking lap, you know, for George Heeler. This is going to really jump him up. Just looking at his sectors, he's probably going to cross the line in a second. But yeah, that it was holding its own against Shepherd, and that wasn't it, because he didn't really catch him passing. He's just crossing the line now as we look at Bradley Kent. What's it knocked him up to?
Yeah, 16th.
He's found a good 2 seconds there, so fair play. He's in the ballpark.
Indeed so. Bradley Kent, meanwhile, still only 10th and has been in the pit lane for a while, getting those tyres crossed over. Now heads out on track, but realistically is looking at only 3 laps or so here.
Yeah, and just to go back to George Heeler and Jonathan Beeson, who's in the Golf TCR. Their cars have had to have the ABS taken off because that's not allowed in the championship, but it is in British Endurance Championship, which they usually run in track limits.
Dear Bruce Winfield out of Knickerbrook, pushing the envelope again. I don't know if that's one of the corners at which it's being monitored. We'll find out shortly.
No, it's supposed to be every single corner of the track. Anyway,
no strong feelings about track limits in this commentary.
I'll rugby tackle you in a minute. Shut your mouth.
Bruce Winfield. We'll definitely be hoping that they're not monitoring it at Knickerbrook corner, because actually this is a half-decent lap that he's putting together. Not improving in the sectors, but you can see that he's on it. Car wriggling around into the braking zone at Lodge, and as he comes across the line, Bruce Winfield, the championship leader still by 11 points over Carl Boardley, stays in second place, but that would be worth 5 championship points. Car number 41, Carl Boardley, who I've just mentioned, and just at that exact moment appeared on the screen exceeding track limits, has had a lap time disallowed for exceeding track limits. So Carl Boardley is adding his name to that list of people who might be getting a talking to later.
It's difficult. I know I joke about it, but it is difficult to keep the car on track. You really don't want to, you know, keep the lock on. You want to let the car run out and run wide and carry speed. But at the end of the day, like you rightly touched on, Andy, they've been in the driver's briefing. They'll be told where it's monitored, where it's not. You know, so they know the score. So if they get track limits, they knew where they were going to get it. Oh, that is not good.
Dear. Do you think this car's exceeded track limits at some point?
I'd say there's probably a lot of grass on the track, maybe.
Maybe.
I tell you what, he's lucky. That's going to catch fire on the wheels, that where the brakes are. Should be someone with a fire extinguisher there, because all that grass, look, it's in the wheel as well. That's why fair play to the team getting that out, getting that little blower out, because getting that out is the biggest thing, because it causes massive heat soak in the engine, the rad, everything will be just getting too hot. But that's an easy thing to do. We've all been there, mate.
Indeed so. That's Scott Sumden, 11th fastest at the moment in this qualifying session, but would have perhaps been hoping for a bit more than that. Number 285, Darren Lewis, now having a lap time taken away from him as well, so he will drop back down into 17th place. No real improvements at the sharp end for the time being. We've still got Lee, Winfield and Constable in the pit lane. Chris Smiley in as well, you can see there just next to his teammate. So a number of the top 10 runners are going no further, and the same, I'm afraid, is true of Steve Gales, who was telling me only yesterday that his new Cupra that he's replaced his Audi with is much easier to drive, but it seems like he's found his limit there at Druids.
That could be a stoppage. Red flags out, yeah. Barriers have been pierced, so wrecked the cell barrier. We can see it looks like it's bin bags just before the tyres. Just after the tyres, sorry. So red flag. Marshall's doing the best job ever here. I'm looking forward to. I'm an ambassador for the BMMC, the British Marshals Club, and cannot tell you how hard they work. I bleat on about it on other channels. Mate, it's hotter being out here than it is in a car today for those marshals. So fair play to them for giving up their time for letting us drive, and good to see that Gale's out the car. I'm gutted for him, actually, because I really wanted him to do well today.
Yeah, he was really looking forward to it, and made the jump, as we've said, from an Audi to a Cupra to a Generation 2 car as well, which he said just was really suiting him. He really felt like he was starting to get the most out of himself, but Steve Gale's 21st fastest in the session, and sadly having gone off at Druids Corner. I mean, you never have a small moment at Druids. We've seen a few cars off in that gravel trap already today, including Bruce Winfield earlier on, so it can catch even the best out, and Steve Gales, unfortunately, has found the barriers. Hopefully, the Rector cell barriers, though, did their job and absorbed some of the impact so that the car gets away relatively unscathed. So cars then down into the pit lane, and this is a prime opportunity, I think, to head down to Anthony Jordan. Anthony, what have you got for us?
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, down here in the pit lane, as you can imagine, it's a hype of activity. Lots going on. Crucially here, too, Scott Sumton's car has just come in. Lots of grass in the front of the car, so definitely it's gone off the track. The guys are just having a word with him at the moment just to make sure everything's good with the car. I want to see if I can try and grab a word with someone about it, because obviously it's not all going well. I'd be curious to have a chat with this man. Yes, he's having a quick word here. As soon as he's got this sorted out, we'll have a quick chat with him. Because obviously, as you can imagine, lots of pressure going on. There's not long left in qualifying, so a lot's got to have to happen here. So they're going to release him, and it'll be crucial to have a quick chat as he heads back out on track. So there you go. You can see not all is well with Scott. And, oh dear me, last few words as well. You don't want to be sitting there for too long. Go on, get it out there, lad. Get it out there. Good man, good man. I want to see if I can try and have a quick chat here. Just quickly, we're live on the broadcast. So what happened there? What's he been saying?
There's oil on the track somewhere, so...
Right.
Yeah, that's why the red flags came out, because there's a car in the barrier.
Oh, right, OK. Yeah. So, right, OK. I didn't even notice we'd gone red, so glad you know that.
The driver told me.
Oh, excellent. Cool. I'm glad the drivers are aware of what's going on. I clearly don't know. Lovely. All right, cheers. We'll head back. So it's Steve Gale, who I believe is off the circuit then. So, right, OK, so he's had a bit of a nightmare. As you can imagine, bit of drama there. So, at the Druids Corner as well, blimey. All right, well, these boys here looking pretty sharp and clean. Again, running pretty well at the moment, these two. The two Audis, the Gen 2s. Constable and Marshall, they're having a pretty good run at the moment, as you can imagine. Again, lots of hive of activity here. How they get themselves going. Carl Baldley here, looking good. What are they doing here? That temperature of the tyres, anything like that? I think that's temperature of the tyres at the moment. So as you can see, Carl's just having a quick word with his mechanic as Brad Kent heads back out onto the circuit as well. Shepherd is looking a lot stronger, actually. I want to see if we can try and have a chat with Adam Shepherd, because he has gone out, and actually a car that's come back into the pit lane as well. Jensen Brickley. I wonder if we can have a quick chat with Jensen. Jensen, just quickly before you run off from me, I know you're quite busy. How come the car's in? What's up?
Well, we've seen we had a bad start and got caught up in traffic, so I came in for another set of new tyres, and then we went out and there's oil everywhere all around the back near Druid, so I can't go any faster, and then I hit one of the tyre stacks at the chicane, so yeah, we just parked it up. We're just going to try and get more than 10th in the first race and go for the reverse grip.
Everything all right then? It's not too badly damaged then, is it?
Not too badly, no, just cosmetics.
Okay, perfect. All right, cheers. Thank you very much, Jensen. So, as you can imagine, yeah, a bit of drama there for Jensen Brickley. So, main question is, oil on the circuit. That is sub-optimal, one would say. But let's see if we can chat here with Adam, who's currently having a quick word with his mechanic. I might leave Adam to it because he's obviously quite focused out there. But I want to have a quick word. Just quickly, I don't know what you can tell us. Looking a lot quicker now.
We've got no power.
You got no power now?
No power at all.
Right, okay. Well, it was looking quick at the start of the session.
It was, yeah, and it slowly dropped.
Oh, right, okay. So still getting plagued with them issues then?
Yeah,
all right,
unfortunately.
Okay. Unfortunately. All right, okay. So not all well for...
a slight alignment change and then send him back out.
Okay, all right. Well, hopefully all the best then to Shepherd, who has had, well, it's really gone from bad to worse here for Adam Shepherd. He's tried his hardest to really get this car working and get it out for these sessions, but as you can imagine, it doesn't go all the way they want it. So, yeah, they're going to work really hard on that one, as you can imagine. These brakes, they're not cold. These brakes are red hot that these guys are working on here, and their hands right up close to it. As you can imagine, these guys are a lot braver than me sticking their hands in there, because I certainly wouldn't. But yeah, red flag at the moment. Boys, I can't really ascertain much from this one. I might find a marshal and see what's going on, because at the moment, red flag's out. Steve Gale's off the track, oil on the circuit. I might find out if I can cross the pit lane here, chat with this man here who's in a wonderful hat and beautiful shades. Just quickly, like to know what's going on out on the circuit. We know Steve Gale's is off the track, and we know there could be a bit of oil on the circuit.
There's a bit of oil. One of the gearboxes is blowing somewhere on the track. We only get part of the information, so right. That's all we've got. I'm sorry.
Right, no, that's fine. That's more than what I had. So, okay, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. Well, there we go. Gearbox. Right, okay. Well, I wonder if Steve Gale's mechanics know about that, because that, I'm not sure if it's Steve Gale's gearbox that has gone, or, yeah, but as you can imagine, everyone's in the pit lane now and just keeping the cars cool as much as possible, because I can imagine so much heat goes through these. There you can see Gary Townsend just again also having a chat here. Here's Brad Hutchison, who's also getting a quick word. A bit of words going on here. We'll leave them to it. There's lots happening down here, boys. There's a lot happening here. We've got to be careful. The heat haze is coming out of the cars. Everyone's just working on the cars at the moment. Gearbox query, has it blown up? There's oil on the circuit. Steve's in the gravel, and we're not too sure. There's a little bit of time left in this session. Boys, I don't know about you. It's getting a bit warm down here. Might hand back up to you. What do you know up there? Do you know any more than me?
Oh, Anthony, we know nothing. We never know anything. We're the last to know up here in the commentary box, I'm afraid. But
that's why we asked you.
Excellent job wandering around. I think the heat's getting to him. In fairness, Paul, it's rather toasty out there, surrounded by all these hot racing cars. And yeah, I think he needs to go and find some shade and a nice cold ice cream, perhaps. But not just yet, because we've got 5 minutes of qualifying still to do. They have shortened the remainder of the session ever so slightly, and that means this is going to be a very busy racetrack now. You can see the cars that have been sat queuing up at the end of the pit lane for a while, itching to get out. They're also moving the Callum Newsham car, which is good planning there from the clerk of the course to get that car removed at the same time as Steve Gale's car, which hopefully hasn't sustained too much damage. But yeah, 5 minutes, everyone queuing up to get out of the pit lane at the same time. We're either going to see lots of improvements here, Paul, or lots of cars tripping over each other and not actually going very quickly.
I mean, listen, they can. It depends what tyre life cycle is going on. You know, there was rears that were getting swapped to the front, so brand new fronts had gone on after the cross. Some people were halfway through a lap, some people have completed them. I just worry that the temperature is starting to rise and rise and rise now, and, you know, people are going to have probably 1 lap at minimum and 2 at maximum. There's Josh Files on your left with them beautiful shorts on there, telling Bruce Winfield. Just trying to look at what he's actually saying with his hands. Right, okay. So that was quite an aggressive message from Josh Files there to Bruce Winfield. I think they're ready to go. He was saying, aggressively weave your tyres and go. Because I think the people who are on cooler tyres now that are newer, this is the chance to really keep it pinned, have a dancing rear of the car and get it pointed straight and get through the corners quicker. This could really, really bring qualifying to light now.
And Bruce has looked in, in fact, Area in general have looked in here because they happen to be at the front of the queue. So you've got Winfield, Lee and Luke Sargent, nose to tail. They can kind of control this now. Winfield certainly should have some clean air. You'd imagine Alex Lee should be able to manufacture himself some clean air too. It's those deeper in the pack who are going to struggle to find the clear racetrack in which to perform. So Bruce Winfield, who only needs to find 0.03 of a second to take pole position away from his teammate Alex Lee. That could be a real shootout. They are the fastest 2 cars in the session at the front of the queue with 5 minutes to try and beat each other to pole position. Good crowd on hand today here at Oulton Park, which is always the case actually. Oulton Park's one of those circuits, it's always well supported by the local fans, and great to see a good number of them out to enjoy the lovely weather and what is set to be a very competitive conclusion to qualifying, which gets back underway now.
So here we go then. There'll be an array of people just getting on with it because the tyres won't have dropped in temp, and there'll be some people who will be weaving hard and trying to get temperature into the carcass and the surface of these Goodyear tyres. So hang on to your hats, because this could either be the most amazing thing you've seen or the shortest 5-minute qualifying that you've ever seen.
Well, let's wait and see. They've got to get that clear track, they've got to get the heat into the tyres, and then they've got to perform and got to stay within those track limits as well. This is where it's really tempting now, isn't it? Just to start asking a bit too much on slightly low tyre pressures and end up drifting out wide and perhaps costing yourself a shot at the pole position. Alex Lee then fastest right now. Bruce Winfield second, Jack Constable third, Adam Shepherd fourth, Joe Marshall fifth. I don't know if this is the way that it's going to finish at the end of the session, but Paul, right now, Rob Boston Racing and Area Motorsport have figured something out that the other teams are perhaps still chasing.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely something going to happen here. Look at this. Right. This is the one to watch. Brucey Winfield, he is going to stop weaving, turn in late. Watch this, right. Oh, he's got a bit of oversteer still. That rear's still cold. And you can hear the throttle. He got on the throttle early, but his wheel's spinning a bit. I'm interested to see what this first sector's like. Watch this now. As he goes into Old Hull, he's down a gear, big brakes, big dive, turns into the apex, leans on the left rear, right across. Brilliant. I don't think he's gone through there flat out, but he'll have a feeling now because he's going to have 2 laps at this. This could be brilliant to watch.
It's that right rear tyre, though, that warms up the slowest, and it's the right rear that he's leaning on now through Cascades, all wide over the back of the curb, but well, let's wait and see whether he gets away with it. The first sector should be coming up very shortly. It's not an improvement for him or for Alex Lee. Lee about half a tenth quicker than Winfield for what it's worth, but both of them have been faster at earlier stages in the session.
This next lap will be the one. Yeah. If he's got any nous about him, Bruce will just not back off, but he won't go 100% now and take time out of his tyres. That's where the oils come from, Callum Newsham's car.
Yeah, you can see that on the back of the flatbed as the marshals push that car back to the ground so the team can go to work. Winfield up the hill.
Wow. That oil, there's a lot of it. That's not nice for a driver, but it is flat out, and it looks like the oil stops. Now, this will be the first time for Bruce now as he comes through Druids. He's flat out, right, this is the lap. This will be the lap where he's got a chance
But look at Lay. Lay's catching him behind. He's got time. They both have time for 2 more flying laps at the end of this one. No one, by the way, improving in the sectors on that first lap. So, well, with the exception of Jonathan Beeson a little bit further back, but everybody else relying on the final lap or so of the session, I think, to try and find some big improvements. So, Bruce Winfield comes through. Alex Lee at the moment on course for pole position. Much needed pole position as well for a driver who many people, myself included, tipped to be a championship favourite this year. Alex Lee, with only the 1 podium finish so far, a non-finish last time at Croft, needs to try and pull something out of the bag this weekend at Oulton Park. He's a little wide there, I'd have said, Paul.
Yeah, I'm looking. They're struggling. They're picking up understeer from mid to exit of the corner. So, yeah, this is the lap where it's going to have to make a difference. And if it doesn't, it's going to be game over. Smiley green in sector 1, but we're green as we follow these two. We're yellow, so we're not as fast as we could have been. But let's see what happens in the middle sector.
Yeah, Smiley jumped ahead of Callum Newsham on that previous lap. He was the only driver to improve on the first flying lap. So Chris Smiley going quickly, and he's improving again on the next lap. He's 6/10 off pole, but he's pushing.
Yeah, he's got new fronts on that car. Right. Remember, we seen him go out with the rears. Oh, Winfield looks absolutely on it. If this is not fast enough, I can't see the next lap being quicker. Smiley, though, is looking super fast because Smiley's behind these guys. He's behind them, and Smiley could be looking at top 4. But let's look at Winfield. Winfield comes through Lodge, gets a good exit, track limits if you're being pedantic. Alex Lee not, though. But let's see what happens across the line. Winfield for the pole.
Wow,
Brilliant.
by a quarter of a second, all in the final sector. The tyres finally came to life in that final sector, and he's blitzed them all. Smiley goes 4th now, knocks Adam Shepherd off the 2nd row, and they all 3 of them have time for 1 more flying lap in the session. Smiley over the curbs is on it.
Fair play for everyone and directing this to stay with the man we were looking at, because that was a fantastic final sector. Absolutely brilliant it was. But we did miss Chris Smiley as he runs across that power pad down at Cascades. But brilliant stuff. Bruce Winfield, my man. They're going to struggle to catch you with that final sector, which consists of Druids, where he looked pinned, and Lodge, where he looked amazing.
And Bruce and Alex clearly feel that's the best they can do, because they both backed off. Chris Smiley then is going to arrive on the scene. He is still pushing. He's not improved in the first sector, but I don't think he's a million miles away from the pace. Drops down into the chicane at Hislops, hits the curb on the left, hits the curb on the right as well, and now into Knickerbrook Corner. The Honda Civic looking really good. Said to me right at the end of testing yesterday that they'd finally got that car in the window to where the adjustments they were making were having the desired effect, and he really felt quick, although on this lap he's not quite improving in the first 2 sectors. As we've seen, though, it can all change in sector 3.
Yeah, definitely, but I think that's finished. Smiley's done. He's done. Yeah,
backed off.
He's seen on the Delta on the dashboard, it's not now saying -2/10, it's actually saying +3/10. No point in damaging a tyre, taking the life out of it. But yeah, everyone else is yellow. I think it's game over for most people improving. Hands together for Bruce Winfield. That last sector was Max Verstappen-esque in Monaco. Absolutely brilliant. It was great to stay on board with that, so I do apologise for bleating on about what was going on with Chris Smiley. So absolutely amazing stuff, and well done for staying on that last part of the lap.
What do we know, eh? What do we know? A 3rd career pole position for Bruce Winfield in TCR UK, and a really important one because it nets him 6 championship points. He's already the points leader by 11 over Carl Boardley, who only ended up 9th in that qualifying session. So Carl Boardley with work to do, and no points added to his tally. So Winfield will pick up the 6 points for pole. Alex Lee will get 5 for 2nd. Jack Constable scoring nicely, isn't he, Jack Constable? Another 4 championship points for him. 3 for Chris Smiley after that late improvement. Another driver who needs the points, really. 2 bonus points then will go to Adam Shepherd, and 1 to Bradley Kent. So actually, with the exception of Winfield, most of the other drivers who scored points then were a little bit further down in the championship standings, and they will take every single point that they can possibly get. Well, a fantastic conclusion there to the qualifying session. Really only 3 drivers able to find late improvements, and all 3 of them find themselves on the front 2 rows of the grid. It's Winfield who will take the pole position, getting into the 125s as well, a 25.966, by far the fastest that we've ever seen a TCR car lap the Oulton Park Island circuit. He will have his area motorsport teammate Alex Lee alongside him, with Jack Constable and Chris Smiley, the Audi and the Honda, together on row 2. Adam Shepherd then will start 5th, Bradley Kent 6th, Joe Marshall 7th, ahead ahead of Callum Newsham, who actually can count himself lucky, I think, to still be 8th, having missed out on the majority of the session. Carl Boardley will be disappointed with 9th. Brad Hutchison in 10th position in the older spec Audi. I think I'm right in saying, with the exception of the i30s, that's the first of the older spec cars on the grid. Scott Sumpton then will be 11th in the Restart Racing Honda ahead of Jensen Brickley, winner at Croft. Luke Sargent 13th on his debut in the championship, and Daryl Wilson, an improvement there too, into 14th place by the flag. Then it's Matthew Wilson. The two Wilsons never seem to be far away from each other, do they? Gary Townsend in his Audi is 16th. Jonathan Beeson 17th, with Darren Lewis, George Heeler and Rick Kerry completing the top 20. Steve Gale's 21st, having found the barriers at Druids. And as we documented, Oliver Cottam not really putting too much effort into that qualifying session, knowing that he's got a grid penalty to come because of an engine change. So, lots to dissect after that qualifying session then. Bruce Winfield getting himself his latest pole position. It is his first pole of the season, but he started second on the grid at Snetterton for the very first race of the season. Went on to win that ahead of a teammate, Josh Files. Well, he'll have another teammate alongside him this time around, as Area Motorsport quite clearly have managed to find something again here at Oulton Park. And Bruce Winfield will be hopeful that he can score well. Going to be an interesting race, that, though. There are a few drivers further down the order than they'd like to be. I've said it's difficult to overtake here at Oulton Park. It's not impossible, and given the temperatures that we're expecting to see, they're going to keep on climbing before the first race for TCR UK, which is due to get underway at about 1:15. Well, we're expecting very, very high track temperatures then, and tyre management could allow some drivers further down the grid to creep back into contention by the checkered flag. So we'll hopefully have a chance to hear from Bruce Winfield in a moment or two down there. A reminder, though, that we do have 2 races for TCR UK. Like I said, the first one due to start actually around 1:25 this afternoon. However, we have had some delays to the timetable today. We're currently about half an hour behind time, but I'm sure we'll do our very best to get back on time by the afternoon, but just be aware we may have a few delays still to come. Right then, Paul O'Neill is down in the paddock and he's catching up with the pole sitter.
Wowzers! Feels like Monaco. Feels like I'm interviewing Max Verstappen. That's what I was saying in comms. You pulled that out of the bag, purple in the last sector, and you, my man, have £1,000 for pole position. Absolutely stunning. Talk me through that last part of qualifying. Josh Files come over and he looked so aggressive. What did he say to you? Because I think I might know.
Well, the previous set of tyres, like before we went back out after the red flag, I kept going, like, I think purple through sector 1. I kept, like, you know, going under my delta by like 2.5 tenths and then messing it up. So yeah, we came in, chucked another pair of tyres on, went and sat there. He was like, look, you know, and reminded me about this little incentive as well, which kind of helps. So makes it all worthwhile putting an extra pair of tyres on to get it, isn't it? So yeah, little pep talk from Josh and Rob as well, and then managed to string it together, fortunately. But yeah, there was oil down. I went off at I can't remember what the bend's called, you know, the double apex right. There was gearbox oil on the floor, and like one of the previous sets of laps, tyres come through there, loads of understeer, went to brake, nothing happened, went straight through the gravel. I thought there was something wrong with the car because there was no slippery surface flags, nothing on the comms at all. So yeah, I managed to keep it out of the wall, luckily, and then yeah, come in, I managed to do that. So absolutely over the moon. So yeah.
I said in comms, the last 5 minutes are going to be pretty spectacular. I couldn't actually believe how good it was, but literally, I mean, that last sector, I seen you weaving the tyres and then going on that lap, and it didn't quite happen. It looked like you had a bit of oversteer, and then the next lap it just come together. But the final 2 corners, Druids just looked unreal. The front of the car diving, it just looked like a joy. I wanted to be in there, mate.
Yeah, I think obviously you guys weren't at Croft, but we kind of struggled a little bit with setup at Croft, and then we've come here. I came here testing the other week, put the setup back on that we kind of had at Snet, you know, because that didn't work at Croft for us. And yeah, the car's been on rails. It's like, yeah, it's enjoyable to drive. It's doing what you want, like you say, diving, pitching, doing everything you need it to do to give you the grip to be able to, yeah, go fast. And it's obviously enjoyable and rewarding at the same time to have a car that you're confident in, you know. So yeah, obviously all the guys at Area have done a great job, and yeah, see how we get on this afternoon.
Well, you're back in business. The championship leader is qualified P1, so £1,000 in your hand. Going on tyres or going on beers?
Don't know, we'll see. See how the rest of the day goes.
Top man. Listen, go and enjoy it. Go with the team, and yeah, brilliant stuff. Really, really good to see. Spot on. Excellent stuff. Well, I'm going to be dead honest here. It's live TV. Luke was talking in my ear about doing something next. I didn't hear what he said, so I think I'm just going to throw back to the studio and maybe a break.
What a classy move. That was a classy move. The championship leader is in the gravel trap.
Neil sends him off and it's a kick of dirt on the out.